Hey everyone, Mark the Movie Man, Final Cut here. Guess we're going to dive right into today's review of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Yes, the sequel to Rise of the Planet of the Apes, just hitting the big screen this weekend, and we get the story 10 years later in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. It's 10 years later from the events of Rise, where the simian flu has traveled across the world and wiped out most of the human population, though there are groups of survivors here and there. One of the groups of survivors are in LA, and they're headed by Dreyfus, who is played by Gary Oldman. Well, also who's been thriving during this time of the humans dying of this disease have been the smart apes, the ones that Caesar led out of the city into the wilderness. They've amassed quite a tribe over 10 years, a large population of smart apes, quite massive in fact, and these two worlds have pretty much survived apart from each other for a while, until the one day when the worlds do collide. And we see how the conflicts ensue and how Caesar, played by Andy Serkis, along with the human Malcolm, played by Jason Clarke, try to work out a way to where these two groups can coexist next to each other. Obviously, there are people in both tribes, if you want it for lack of a better term, that don't like the other, and they make things more complicated to try to keep the peace, and soon things break down, and we see how more and more conflicts arise between these two species, and how one really wants to dominate over the other. Which one will win? Well, you have to see the movie to find out. Folks, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is a well-executed, fantastically put together film for a blockbuster movie that's filled with special effects. Okay, I enjoyed every minute of it, from the opening shot that we get with Caesar and his group to the closing credits. I was into this film. It engrossed me so. And within the first minute or two, you forget that you're watching CGI apes. Okay, there's just maybe not even 2 or 3 shots where it really kind of looks CGI like air. Okay, but for the most part, looking at this, you forget that these are people in motion capture suits overlaid with a CGI ape. That's how good the special effects are in here. Visual effects, stunning, top-notch, and you had to in order to sell the apes as well as the world that they live in. Now, that part of that's attributed though to Caesar, who's played by Andy Serkis again. If the Academy doesn't give this man a nod for a nomination at least for his performance as Caesar, then they're just ignoring the talent that is there. That is Andy Serkis. He does fantastic as Caesar. You feel for Caesar. You're attached to Caesar. We follow Caesar through the film, and we see a character arc in him as well, and how he grows, and the emotion that comes through this CGI ape is fantastic. You feel this is a real character and not just something that was generated by a computer. So I loved the Caesar character in this and loved the special effects, how they sold these apes into being real characters. And the human performers in here, one of them being Gary Oldman playing Dreyfus, the leader of the group, they interact very well with these CGI apes. So I really liked that as well. The acting was top-notch by everybody involved. Great performances with this solid script. It was an interesting script. It was a well-paced script that had characters, something to do for a lot of the characters. Unlike some of the special effects films that we've seen, some of these big blockbusters, you only follow 1 or 2 characters. And here, everybody had something to do. Everybody got some screen time and got something that contributed to the plot, either a subplot or the main plot. And I loved that as well. From the giant orangutan Maurice, they got this little sub-story in here that just is fantastic between Maurice and Malcolm, the Malcolm character played by Jason Clarke, between him and Malcolm's son. I loved this little sub-story they did. It was fantastic and really touching. There are a lot of touching moments, though this film does stay relatively dark throughout its tone, okay? This is not a happy film, though there are some lighter moments in here, so I will warn you on that. Now this, with the character growth that we have in here that we don't usually see in a lot of films, there is maybe a little bit of predictability with how things are going to turn out, but I will tell you that they didn't go the easy route with some of these plot points. At least I didn't feel that they did, especially for a big film like this. Things where they could have gone an easy route, could have gone even just brought it to the lowest common denominator, but they didn't. There are plot points in here that you kind of have to think and you see play out, and there are some things in here that don't quite go the way you expect, I will say. I don't think it's quite as predictable as some people may have said. So there is that. And about the only thing is there's one thing at the end that involves Caesar. I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil anything, but it is about the only thing that I was kind of had a problem with. But overall, I loved this film from start to finish. You get some great music in here that is a throwback. It had kind of the feel of the original music, which might not appeal to some people because it doesn't quite have that more modern orchestral feel to it, but I liked it. I thought it felt a little primitive and felt fitting, especially the theme that they come with for the apes and the music at the end, especially during the credits. All of it was really well done and really, I thought, fit most of the story in this film. It's just a great movie in here. You got a parallel in here between the tribe of the apes and the surviving group of humans, and we see just how similar these two are, from people mistrusting the species to the guys who are just trying to get everybody to get along. Everything in here, there's a great parallelism between these two groups that I thought was really well written and fleshed out. Yes, it is a fairly long film, but it takes its time, it's well paced, and it needs to tell a complete story. While the special effects in here are in the forefront because they have to be, because you're dealing with the majority of your characters of screen time being CGI'd apes, you forget they're CGI apes. The special effects aren't the story. The story of Caesar and how these humans are trying to work together is the story, and that's what I loved about it the most. So check it out. 5 stubs from me for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, my favorite film of the year. Enjoyed it a lot more than The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Sorry. Days of Future Past, X-Men. I did enjoy this, though I got into this story more than that one as well. So, and Edge of Tomorrow, that's a fun film as well, but this one is a lot more serious than I thought it would go, and it was a pleasant surprise. So check out Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. You won't be disappointed. I saw it in the 2D, looked fantastic in the 2D. I'm sure it looks even better in the 3 distraction. Also, don't forget, Monday night, 10 o'clock Central Time, check out the Google Hangout. I do the Spoiler Room if you haven't caught it. It's a podcast I do where I record the Hangout, and then I post it on iTunes. We're going to be talking about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes Monday night, 10 p.m. Central Time. Check it out. Check out the episode. I'll put the link to the episode down below. If you're not doing anything Monday night, tune in because it should be a fun time. I'm going to have a full room, and we'll definitely have stuff to talk about with Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which I'm sure you will too once you see the film. And that'll about do it for us here at The Final Cut. If you've seen Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, leave your comments down below. Love to hear your thoughts on it. And until next time, remember folks, keep that ticket stub.